Hi everybody, welcome to my channel. I'm Ashley Morris. I'm the owner and lead tutor at amtutors.com, where we specialize in one-on-one virtual tutoring with middle school and high school students. In today's video, we're going to learn about finding common denominators. And this is really important when you're adding and subtracting, but in this video, we're going to learn just how to find the common denominator, and then in other videos, we'll actually add or subtract. So common denominators are needed for adding and subtracting. So it's where we take what we've got and we find equivalent fractions that have the exact same denominator. So before, if you've watched my other video, we found not common denominators, we found equivalent fractions by multiplying or dividing, reducing, all that, but we weren't worried about getting two fractions to have the same denominator. So we're going to use those skills of multiplying, and you might divide, but really you're just going to multiply to get the same denominator. And then later on we'll use these to do stuff. So things to remember: first, the top is called the numerator and the bottom, down D, is your denominator. And we also need to remember how to find least common multiples. So if we want to find the least common multiple of 3 and 7, some people can just look at numbers and they can tell. I can't always do that. So what I'll do is I'll start writing out my multiples. So for 3, you've got 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, and then you're just going to keep going, right? 3 times 1, 3 times 2, 3 times 3, and then we just keep going. We're going to do the same thing with 7. 7, 14, 20. Oh, look at that, 21. So that's my least common multiple. So it'd be 3 times 7 to get to 21, and then it would be 7 times 3. See, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that's a skill that is helpful when we're doing finding least common denominator. And it doesn't have to be multiplying by the other number. Sometimes we do that and it's easy, or sometimes it's the only option, but it's not always the best option as far as number of steps go. So let's look. Find the least common denominator to make equivalent fractions with common denominators. Cool. So 4 and 6. The least common multiple is 12. So we've got 4, 8, and then 12. Oh, hey, look, 8. We can do 6 and then 12. So again, I'm listing them out. So to get 12, I had to do 4 times 3. Anything you do to the bottom, you gotta do it to the top. 2 times 6 will give me a 12. Do it to the top, I get 10. So now I have these all set up. I could add them, I could subtract them, I can do some other stuff with them, but that's the big use for this. All right, let's look down here. 20 and 30. The least common multiple of 20 and 30 is going to be 60, 20, 40, 60, and then 30, 60. So that was 1, 2, 3. So we're going to multiply by 3. And that gives me 21 over 60. Multiply 30 by 2. 11 by 2. Oops. So 11 times 2 is 22. 30 times 2 is 60. Ta-da, common denominators. If you want, pause here, try these two on your own. Did you pause? Maybe, maybe not. So here's the next one. 15 and 5. Well, 5 is 5, then 10, then 15. And 15, we don't have to keep going then. So the least common multiple is 15. 15 times 1, 4 times 1. So that one didn't change. 5 times 3. 3 times 3. Ta-da! Now, if all else fails and you cannot figure out what the least common denominator will be, you could take the other fraction's denominator and multiply top and bottom by that, and then take this one and do 15 times 15 on top and bottom. So you looked at the other fraction's denominator and used that on top and bottom of the fraction you're looking at, and you do that to both of them. That will work. The numbers are going to be big, so it's not the least common denominator because you didn't use the least common multiple, but it'll work. If you go and add them, you're going to have to reduce more later. Same thing with subtraction. So it works. Nothing wrong with it. It just might mean more work later with your reducing. And then if I look at number 4, 7 over 11 and 6 over 13, these do not have a common multiple that's small. So I'm just going to multiply by 13 and 11. I'm using that same trick that I showed you for number 3. But in this case, I don't think 13 and 11 have a common denominator that's going to be any smaller. So I am not going to spend my time trying to figure it out. I'm just going to go ahead and multiply the fraction with the 11 for the denominator by 13 on top and bottom. Oops, I was writing and talking. Writing and talking does not always work. So that should be 91. My apologies. And 66. This is why doing work when you're distracted is not always a good idea. I was writing and talking, and I multiplied the 7 by 11 on accident. We want to multiply by 13, which was the denominator for the other fraction. And then the 6 and 13, I multiplied those by 11, which was the denominator for the other fraction. All right, also useful for comparing. Use a greater than, a less than, or an equal to sign. So my trick for this is it's a hand, and it's grabbing the most money. So 9 over 12 and 10 over 12. Oh, yay, they already have a common denominator. Awesome. Which one has the bigger numerator? That tells us how many pieces out of that 12 we took. So the 10 is going to be bigger. For number 2, can't tell. So you can get a common denominator. That's totally fine. It's going to be 60. So we multiplied by 3. This one's going to be multiplied by 2. And it's going to give me 22 over 60. So the 11 over 30 is actually bigger. Now, a trick for this. The numbers can get kind of big. You can do something called cross multiplying. 20 times 11 is 220. 30 times 7 is 210. Which number was bigger? The 210? Or sorry, the 210 is not bigger. The 220, writing and talking, the 220 is the bigger one. So 11 over 30 is the bigger one. Those numbers can get really big though. That's why sometimes I prefer the common denominator method because the numbers just don't get as big. So now, pause. Try these. Pause it and try these. All right, so now I am going to work them out too. I'm going to multiply this by 11. I'm going to multiply this by 3. And that's bigger. Oops, I didn't even write it. I'm going to multiply this by 2 because I get 26 when I do that. So 9 over 13 is bigger. 24 is the least common multiple of 8 and 12. If you did not use that and you multiplied by 8 on the other one and 12, totally fine. You get 21 over 24, and then this gets multiplied by 2, 22 over 24. Ta-da, that's the biggest one. So that's how we find common denominators and how we can use it to help us compare. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that was helpful. In the comments, if you have a video you want me to do, let me know. I'm happy to make videos on topics that you can't find on my channel. Also, there is a link to a worksheet if you need extra practice. Make sure you like and subscribe, and don't forget to ring the bell so you get notified when there's more videos. I hope you had a blast learning about fractions. Thanks so much. Bye, friends.